Hi there and welcome to the Creativity Hub podcast. I'm Dr. Amanda Stevenson and this is a space where we dive into all things creativity, expression and the journeys that bring our inner passions to life. Each episode I sit down with inspiring individuals who've embraced their creative sides, whether they're artists, performers, writers or anyone discovering the joy of self-expression. Together we explore their stories, uncover the challenges they've faced and celebrate the moments that have shaped their creative paths. Whether you're a seasoned creator, just starting out, or simply curious about the creative process, this podcast is here to spark your imagination, encourage you to think differently, and remind you that it's never too late to explore what lights you up inside. Thanks for tuning in. Let's get started. Welcome to the Creativity Hub podcast. I'm Dr. Amanda Stevenson. I'm here with Mairi. Today we're talking about unlocking creativity, overcoming fear, doubt and mental blocks in our creative pursuits, and about the importance of playing and embracing failure. So thanks for joining me, Mairi.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to be here.
Okay, so Mairi, tell me about your first thoughts about wanting to do creative things. What were you like at school?
Yes, at school I was more into like art and music than science and maths. So yeah, it just felt kind of natural progression from that to go and do a more creative degree. I enjoyed my degree, but it wasn't super practical. So if I went back, I would have done a more practical degree, I think. But yes, that's kind of got me into that. I've always done dance and singing when I was younger.
So you expressing yourself and creative pursuits. So tell me about your degree. What was it?
So I did media and journalism at Cardiff. It was a really good degree, but it was more theory based. It's mainly essay writing, like learning about why things are the way they are in media.
Yeah.
Rather than the how.
Yeah, mine was similar.
Yeah.
Film and English, but it's still the same kind of thing. So what would you do instead? You said something more practical, so what do you think you'd do instead?
Well, I was also looking at media production in Sussex. My friend ended up doing that one. It was a lot more like making films and documentaries, so a bit more of those practical skills involved.
Yeah. So do you think you'd like to be doing those things?
I think so, yeah. I wanted to do that when I was like 16. That's kind of why I did media A-level, because I wanted to do that. And then I kind of got to uni level and I was like, probably should do a more generic degree in case I don't actually want to work in film.
So do you think you were playing it safe?
Yeah, I do think so, yeah.
So if you could go back and tell your younger self something, what would you say?
Don't play it safe, take risks. It's just meant to be fun.
Yeah. And so when you used to do art at school, do you remember a feeling of it being fun?
Yeah. Like not a break, but kind of like a buffer in between the more heavy academic lessons.
Yeah. So the kind of thing you'd like to be doing anyway.
Yeah. Exactly, yeah.
So what did you used to do in art?
So we did like mainly painting. I really liked watercolours most. And like experimenting with different things. I did one of my projects with painting with tea and watercolours.
Nice.
It's a bit of mixed media.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. And so how did you get from that to wanting to do media?
Well, I really enjoyed watching films when I was younger, especially with my dad. That was like our thing that we did. Yeah. If my mum was out for the evening, like we'd watch a film together. Yeah. And I enjoyed like making my own films with my cousins when we were little.
Yeah. Okay. Tell me about those.
So our main genre was horror comedy.
Horror comedy.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Tell me more.
So my dad got me a little video camera when I was maybe 11, and yeah, they'd come over and we'd just make a film in an afternoon and edit it and on my computer and
Wow. Different time to, obviously you're a lot younger than I am. So, yeah, but that's cool. So where are these now?
They are hidden away.
Okay, so tell me about the story. How did you come up when you used to make them? How did you come up with the stories?
They were mainly improvised.
Okay.
We kind of come up with a general idea. Generally, it was like, oh, we've got an idea for a cool shot. So one of them, we thought it would be fun to make everybody freeze. So we filmed all of our family in our house just frozen in time, and then we built the story around that.
Okay.
It didn't make much sense, but that was the scene that we wanted to film.
Yeah, well, that's fun. I've seen some good films with people frozen in time. So that was with your cousin, did you say? So what does your cousin do now?
So it was 3 of my cousins. One of them, she does medical writing. The other one, she's doing something to do with law. And the other one's doing visual effects at uni at the moment. So he's probably gone the most into that area. Okay,
that sounds cool. So how did you feel when you used to make those and then you'd have the finished piece? Did you used to show people? And
yeah, we'd show them off to all our family and force them to have a viewing. And I think we did put a couple on YouTube, but they're long hidden.
But are they still out on YouTube?
I think they're somewhere. If you look hard enough, maybe.
Yes. Yeah, you'd have to know all the keywords, wouldn't you? That would be funny, though. That would be funny. So, what do you remember about that feeling when you were making them and sort of doing the editing and showing people? What, if you had to describe that feeling in one word, what would you say?
I mean, it was just playing. Like, it was just fun. Yeah, that's 2 words.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Playing's really important, isn't it? It sort of connects us to our inner childhood selves. I think, well, you were a child, but and so
it's an important thing to remember when you're creating as an adult.
Yeah.
You know, we weren't doing it to make a good film. We were just playing a game and filming it.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah. Just going, I like films, we can do this.
Yeah.
And sort of having control and power, and let's kind of play around it. Yeah, and I think you're right, it's so important to remember that when you're as an adult. Like when I started singing at 29, it's like I'd kind of lost all of that element of play, and so I was like hugely frustrated with myself when I couldn't get things the first time, and you know, it was sort of a lot of pressure. And there's that idea that you need to make something, or you need to be able to do something, you need to be able to do it now and quick, and life, there's not enough time, and you know what I mean. So it's just the play is just sort of just enjoying time, isn't it?
Yeah, that's the reason why you sing, why you dance, why you do any of this stuff, is because you enjoy it.
Yeah. So
if you're too busy focused on trying to make it good, you forget.
Yeah.
You forget to enjoy it.
Yeah, and another book I've just started listening to on audiobook is called The Gap and the Gain. The idea that if you live in the gap, as if you're just thinking, oh, what have I got to achieve still? So where is the gap between where I am and where I need to be? Because that just moves. So like with my singing, like where I am now, I could never have foreseen this, where I would be. You know, it's taken massive amounts of work, but there's still such a long way to go. So I'm still in the gap because that kind of idealised version of where I want to be has just shifted.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're in the gain, then you're much more focused on how far you've come and what you've enjoyed about the process and what strengths you've utilised or learned kind of along the way. And so yeah, it sort of gives you that opportunity just to kind of be okay with where you are and be happy with where you are, because it's so much easier to feel motivated to do things if you're feeling happy where you already are. So yeah, so you finished your degree and then you came out and started working. So tell me about that.
Well, I started working. Well, first of all, after my degree, I went to work in New Look. I worked there for nearly a year, just because I couldn't. A lot of jobs, they say you need a degree, but you also need experience. And it's kind of a
a chicken and egg situation.
But then eventually I did manage to get a job in marketing at a local company, and there were aspects of that job I did enjoy, but yeah, I just found it wasn't for me. It was very, it wasn't the kind of environment that I wanted to work in.
Yes.
It didn't align with my values there. It was the job itself. I did learn a lot, but a lot of it was more admin based, which wasn't really what I thought I was signing up for. I didn't really utilise my skills that I had gained at uni, and the skills that I wanted to develop in marketing. And it was just.
So, was there any sort of essence of play or creativity, do you think, in that?
Occasionally, but
because you went on set rare. One day, didn't you? And
we did a couple of times where we went on site to a project that was being built and recorded it. And I was told I would be the one managing that, like filming, setting up interviews, editing, social media, etc. And then it ended up being somebody else would go and film it and then just send me the video and say, off you go. And it just kind of felt a bit like not my decision to do anything.
It's not something you're in control of.
Yes, that's
But especially if you've been told that you're going to go out and do that stuff, and then not to have it, and then to have things. I'm really not good when people say one thing and do another. It leaves my brain feeling very confused, and then I start feeling resentful because I don't really understand what's going on.
Exactly. If they just started me off saying you're going to be office based, and editing videos, I probably would have been more okay with that because I'd know that's what I'd been hired to do. Yeah.
But did you edit them?
Yes.
Yeah. And how did you feel after you'd edited them?
Well, I did enjoy editing. I did manage to put a bit of my own creativity on it, like with the like animations and cuts and stuff. But it was still very much like sometimes my manager would even say have a list of the order of the shots to put in. I was like, well, you might as well do that. The time you've taken to go through and tell me where to cut.
You could have done it already. Yeah. And so we met on the acting short course, right? So what drew you to that?
Well, I've always done singing and dancing. I've done a little bit of acting when I was a kid, but never massively. So I wanted to try something a bit different that was massively out of my comfort zone. Yeah, I am definitely a quieter person, so that was very different for me. And also I wanted to make friends, which worked out. So it's mainly about just trying something new, to be honest. And I ended up really enjoying it and meeting a lot of new people. Yeah.
And they call them players for a reason, don't they?
Exactly.
That's what we were saying earlier. I think I used to do a bit of acting as a kid, but again, not a lot, just in school plays and things like that. But it's always something that I did want to learn. But again, got those beliefs in my head, or you're too old, or you're not good looking enough, or you're not going to be able to do it, or no one would want to hire you, or no one would want to watch you, and all of these kinds of things. So you go into these things, I think, with quite, especially as an adult, you kind of want to play and you want to throw yourself into it, but you go into them with all of these voices. I don't know, did you experience
definitely
similar?
And I think one of the things that Charmaine, our tutor, taught us was you just got to let go, like the anger runs. You just have to not read your lines, just scream your lines.
Yes. I remember scaring you at one of those. I had to go, please stop. I'm sorry, I'm not really mad at you.
But I don't think I'd ever shouted in my life before that, so that was a massive release for me to do that, and definitely helped with my actual acting to kind of just let go in the performance, not worry too much about the lines and just go for it. Play.
So how did you feel when you knew that once you knew that it was safe to express all manner of emotions? How did that feel?
Just felt so much more comfortable and just fun. Like before that I was embarrassed almost to put an emotional spin on anything or on any of my lines or anything, but then I mean there wasn't an instant thing. It has taken more time
to be comfortable with it. Yeah, sort of doing it and then going, actually, I'm okay with it. But culturally, we're not really taught, especially women, we're not really taught to express emotions, and kids are taught to not express their emotions, you know, to behave and to be grateful and, you know, to be quiet. And so, and then at school, we're worried about people like picking on us if we express our emotions, or like teachers thinking we can't handle like projects and stuff. So yeah, there's so many kind of things in culture that just, I think, get us to shove our emotions down, which is really unhealthy, which is why I love like any kind of creative pursuit. It's why I love my singing. Just, you can feel things. There's I can't remember her name, she's the singer from Pretty Reckless, and it's just out of my head, but so she was the, do you remember The Grinch? The film The Grinch? So she was the little kid, right? So she was the little kid, she grew up into a rock star. And she said in an interview that in film she's playing someone else, but when she's on stage she's just playing herself. You know, she's just, but it's an exaggerated version of yourself, isn't it? And I think with acting, it allows you to bring all of those things up out of yourself.
Yeah, that's the thing. I think acting's not necessarily pretending to be someone else. It's bringing out a different part of yourself. Yeah. To express someone else. Yeah.
Sort of how would they react in this situation, and the more you can do that, I think, from an authentic. Look at us talking about acting. We've done a short course. You've been in a play since.
Wow.
So we'll talk about that. But yeah, that idea of kind of the authentic self is really interesting, because there's that idea, like you say, that you're playing someone else, but really I think you're just giving yourself permission to let bits of yourself out.
Yeah, definitely. I think any situation you're in, you're acting a little bit, because you've got different parts of your personality coming out in like in work, and with your best friend, with your parents, it's going to be different. Yeah, you're going to act in different ways to them.
Yeah, you perform your identity all of the time, don't we? In different ways, like you say, with different people. So you went through. So we did the first acting course together, and then you went and did the second one. So what was that like, in the experience of that one?
The second one was a lot less structured. We did a bit of Shakespeare, and then we ended up writing our own pieces. I didn't take mine very far. I just wrote a very short monologue. But one of the other women on the course, she started writing a play, and we decided to improv a scene from it, because she kind of had an idea of where she wanted to go, but she didn't know how to make it sound natural, so we just improv'd it. So any lines that didn't sound natural, like, it was just, it made her writing, because she was seeing what would actually happen in that situation. So she was able to then think, right, how can I turn this into a functioning scene, like
with dialogue that is plausible. Yeah, and that's quite interesting, because it's sort of, again, playing and just enjoying that process, but also just not going, right, there's a linear process to this. So we sit down at a computer and then we open a document and then we write the first line, and then, you know, it's just this. So we sort of have in our minds a sense of linearity, I think. So it's nice to kind of play around with that.
Definitely.
I think. So so you did that, and then you went and did. So how did you come by the play that you auditioned for recently?
So before that, I did the Portland Peter Pan with Charmaine and her group. Yeah. And one of the guys in the group was auditioning for a play at the Bournemouth Little Theatre, so he said, "Why don't you just come along to that?" And
was he one of the ones in it?
No, he auditioned for one bit. So I auditioned for Gaslight a couple of months before that, and neither of us got on that. And then there was the second one, but he couldn't come to the audition for that one. So.
So you decided to audition. Yeah. How did you decide which parts you wanted to go for?
I didn't. I just walked in and they said, "Can you pick one?" I hadn't even read the play at that point. So I just said one of the names, and then they just get you up and you read any part, just play off, like they pick a couple of people up and you just read a scene, and they just see how you get on with that. I didn't have to learn any lines for the audition. And then they said, well, she seems like she'd be good for this character. And
yeah.
Yeah.
So how did you feel going into that audition? Do you remember?
Yeah, I was really ill that day. So I wasn't feeling great. I really didn't want to go. And I'd only done one audition before, so it was another thing outside of my comfort zone. And for this, the auditions before, it was just in front of the audition panel, but for this one, it was in front of everyone who was auditioning. So that was really scary.
Yeah, that is scary. Yeah.
But I just had to get on and do it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad that I did. And
yeah. So as you were getting up in front of everyone, were there any particular things that you were bringing to mind in terms of past experiences that you were drawing from to give you confidence in that moment?
I mean, when I did the audition, I wasn't really thinking anything.
Yeah.
But when I got off the stage at the end of my audition, the director came up to me and he said, "Did you have fun?"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it was fun." Like,
yeah.
And I think that was, like, he was a great director. He was very, like, he was technical, but he was all the time, he was like, just have fun. Like, that was his thing the whole way through, was enjoy it. And
yeah, get the best,
like, even in the audition, he was saying, "I just want to see you guys have fun, like, see what you can do, and enjoy it, because it's an amateur theatre."
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And I've seen some terrible bands that are having fun, and it's fun to watch,
exactly.
right?
Even if it's rubbish, as long as everyone's enjoying it.
Yeah. There were a couple of bits about the story. So what was it? What was the title of the play?
Charlie's Aunt.
Charlie's Aunt.
Mm-hmm.
There were a couple of other bits of the story.
Yeah.
I was like, does that make sense entirely? But it didn't really matter, because everyone was sort of having fun, it looked like. How do you think you've grown since that sort of stepping into the acting class and sort of stepping out of that last performance of the play?
Definitely more confident in general and in acting.
Yeah.
And I feel more comfortable, like, just talking to people. That sounds really...
No, not sure.
Yeah. Like when in the first acting course, Mandy came up and spoke to me, I wouldn't have gone up and spoken to Mandy, just because I wouldn't have gone up and spoken to anyone just like, they don't want to talk to me, like, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And now, like, I'd happily go and talk to a random stranger.
Oh, well, I'm glad that you come over to it. So how do you think that confidence can help you going forward?
Yeah, I think it's important in everyday life just to be more confident, and confident to go up to people and talk to them, confident to go into an audition, confident to try something different in your acting, in your painting, in your singing, like, not afraid to get it wrong. Like, if you go up and talk to someone and they don't want to talk to you, that's fine.
Yeah.
If you get a line wrong or you say it weirdly, it's fine.
Yeah. That's sort of just reminded me of a conversation I had in the toilets at the gym today, where there was a mum and a little girl, and I said to the mum, "I really love your jumper," just randomly, and the daughter said, "Look, I've got a sequin," because the mum has sequins on a jumper, and you can't have too many sequins, right? And the daughter's like, "I've got sparkly things," and then the mum went out, and the daughter said, "So do you know my mum?" And I was like, "No, I just like talking to random people. I just like saying hello to people." I say, "Do you like talking to people?" And she was like, "Sometimes I wave at people and they don't wave back.
Oh.
But sometimes they do." And I was like, yeah, you've got to kind of, it's that resilience, isn't it? It's like getting knocked back and going, and then doing it anyway. And I was like, well, they're probably just thinking about something that's worried them, or
they didn't see you.
They didn't see you. But the saddest thing would be if she's like, "Oh, that person didn't wave.
Never gonna wave again."
Yeah, never gonna wave at anyone again. But similarly, like, you went for an audition and you didn't get that first part. So were the voices in your head going, "Oh well, you can't do this"?
Yeah, definitely. I'm not auditioning again.
Yeah. How did you feel?
I mean, it was a bit. I mean, I didn't really want that part anyway, to be honest. It was more just auditioning for that, to audition for something.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was still a bit like, oh, that's a shame. Like, and the director called me afterwards, and she said, "Oh, like, really sorry. You were good, but you just don't have enough experience." So it's that inexperience again.
Yeah. So that's a bit of a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So yeah, that did like sort of knock me back a little bit, but yeah, I think the important thing is just getting back. Like, I went to the next audition. And if you know, like, I used to do like dancing, and if you fall over and hurt yourself, like trying to do a trick or something, if you fall over and hurt yourself, and then don't try it again, like my teacher would always say, if you fall over and you hurt yourself, you have to straight away try and do it again.
Yeah. Because
otherwise you'll never want to do it again.
Yeah, you never get over that hurdle.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good teacher.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think because it's playing and because it's expressing ourselves, I have similar feeling with the acting and with the singing. You're really vulnerable. I think you are just sort of putting yourself out there, but not just yourself, but all the parts of you that may have been rejected in the past as a kid, or bullied, or abandoned, or whatever. Just all of these little parts of you are sort of going, right, let's be brave. That's how it feels to me. Do you know what I mean? And then let's be brave and let's go and do it. And then just sort of dealing with those setbacks. So how did you talk yourself out of, did you kind of draw upon those memories of dancing to kind of go, oh, hang on a minute, like I might not have got that part, but that's not going to stop me going forward?
Yeah, I think I just thought I've got this opportunity to audition. I just have just got to go to do it. And,
I wonder if you're like me, where I'm quite an overthinker.
Yes, definitely.
Yeah. So my mantra for the last couple of years at least has been separate the thinking from the doing. And so I had to, I was just sort of thinking, so I was running for a bit, and I'm going to the gym instead now, but that's relevant. But yeah, getting up and going, oh, what's the weather like, and is it a bit cold, and oh, where are my clothes, and what time will I get back, and by the time I'd kind of thought about all those things, it's like I was already exhausted just from kind of giving myself all of these reasons to not go. So it's like, right, I need to, and even now, like, I have my clothes on the radiator ready to go. It's like, I need to get up, get in my clothes, I need to not think, I need to not, I need to be in my car. So it's just kind of just doing things, isn't it? Our brains, our brains can be our brains are amazing things, but they can also be our worst enemy in holding us back, I think.
I think it did help on that day. I was coming out of a bad cold, so my head was just foggy. I didn't really have any space in my head to think about it. I was just like, oh, I've got to go to this audition, put some clothes on and go.
Yes. And then when you were up there, did you forget you had a cold?
Yeah.
Because of the people watching you and just like you say, just enjoying it. And I guess like when we did the acting, you had that experience of just getting up in front of everybody and
exactly. I'd already broken that.
Yeah. And once you've done it once, you can draw and you survived.
Yeah.
Because they feel bigger than it feels bigger than it is, isn't it?
Yeah.
It does feel bigger than it is.
It's like, what's the worst that can happen? You forget a line.
Yeah.
Everybody hates it.
Yeah.
Move on.
Yeah. Yeah, what's the worst that can happen? Well, yeah, the play goes wrong and, we'll all still be alive, it'll all be fine. And audiences are very forgiving, especially for amateurs.
Especially with the comedy as well, I think.
Yeah.
It's meant to be, it was a silly play,
Yeah, I bet if we went and watched the outtakes of Googled outtakes from things like Friends or whatever, the ones would be where they came out of character. They're the popular ones, aren't they? Where it's like the authentic self. So what's next?
Ooh, well, so the same theatre, they're doing The Importance of Being Earnest in a couple of months, so that I'll audition for that in January. And then after that is Bouncy Island Shakespeare. They're doing A Winter's Tale.
Ooh.
So I'll audition for that.
You will or you have?
I will. That's
Yeah.
in January as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Shakespeare's a big difference, I think.
Yes.
Very
Yes. Wordy.
yes.
Yes. Very wordy.
I think even with the Victorian words in Charlie's Aunt, some of them I was like, what are they even trying to say here?
Yeah.
So Shakespeare's a whole nother level, but
Yes.
yeah. Again,
Yeah.
it's just doing the audition.
Yeah.
If I get it, I get it. If I don't,
Yeah. Do you think having that attitude of if I get it, I get it. If I don't, I don't. Do you think that helps you?
definitely. 'Cause then you don't take the rejection as hard, and you're just there to have fun again. And
Yeah, and there's no wrong turns as long
Yeah.
as you're prepared to keep trying and keep sort of following the things that you want to do. Even things that we fail at, we learn stuff from, don't
Yeah.
we? Everything's a learning curve. But yeah, Shakespeare, that'll be a challenge.
yes,
So do you have to learn a specific bit for that?
yes, like just a little monologue, I think. But
And have you
I've got like a month to learn that. So.
Yeah, okay. Well, Charlie's Aunt, you came out and you did a monologue, right?
Yeah,
That was quite wordy.
yeah, that was. But that's a bit more modern.
Yeah,
Ish.
a bit more well, it's poetic, wasn't it? It went on for a long time.
Yes.
But at least you got it out of the way early on. So the Shakespeare, how are you gonna approach that?
Well, I found that the script rehearser app is actually really helpful. Just listening to that while I'm walking to work or
Yeah. Okay.
doing anything. Just hearing it over and over.
Yes.
And yeah, I think for me, just over and over repetition.
Yeah.
And getting into the physicality of it as well.
Yeah.
And I think with Shakespeare, 'cause it's iambic pentameter, isn't it? Push word.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So it's got the rhythm, and I think that it's a lot easier to learn a song because you've got the rhythm and the tune.
Mm.
So I'm hoping Shakespeare will be
Yeah, that's
get into
true.
the rhythm of it.
Yeah, that is true. I can't tell you very many names of 60s songs. When I was a kid, I used to listen to 60s radio in the morning. But when they come on, I can sing along.
Yeah.
I remember all the words are in my head, even though I can't tell you what they are now. But as soon as they're on, so yeah, But that's good because you're sort of again thinking about a way to draw on your strengths.
Yeah.
To kind of make it work for you. So, where do you think you'd like to be in 5 years?
I think in 5 years I definitely want to still be incorporating acting into my life somehow, whether that's professional or just for fun. And yeah, like whatever job I do, have creative aspects to it, or mostly creative aspects to it. And
yeah. Well, what have you considered?
I mean, yeah, I would love to be working in film, I think. Yeah, or TV, like,
but
or even theatre.
Yes. Yeah. But would you ideally like to be working as an actor?
I mean, not necessarily ideally. Like, I enjoy both sides of the camera. Like,
so acting, then directing.
Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Dream big.
In an ideal world.
Yeah. Well, why not? Dream big. What about what are you doing singing and dancing wise?
I mean, to be in a musical would be fun, I think. I definitely want to keep up the singing.
Yeah, because you started lessons again, haven't you?
So my singing teacher was talking about open mic nights and things like that. So I have sung in front of people before, but I think I did one solo in my choir, and I was very nervous for that.
We've been karaoke a few times.
We've been to karaoke a few times. Yeah, I think an open mic night or something would definitely be a good goal.
Yeah.
Yeah, singing in front of people soberly would be a good goal.
Yes. I can't. Well, I don't drink anymore.
Yeah.
But I can't sing in tune when I've been drinking. When I have been drinking, it's not a good idea.
Not in tune, but definitely loud.
Yes, I'm very good at the loud part. Yeah. What do you think held you back from karaoke when you didn't sing?
I mean, it's the same thing. It's the I don't want to get things wrong, which is ridiculous in front of karaoke. Karaoke exists just for
people to get it wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
And I got it wrong. There's definitely things
everybody
I got
gets it wrong.
Yeah.
Especially everybody that most people are singing they're drunk.
Yeah.
Everyone's laughing, everyone's singing along. It's meant to be fun. You're meant to get it wrong.
And if you noticed me getting things wrong, did you judge me?
Not at all. I didn't even notice.
Well, you know. Yeah. Good. But
yeah, it's the thing of people know I've been doing singing lessons. They know I've been singing for a long time, so they know that I should be getting it right. But they don't. Nobody actually thinks that.
No.
And if they do, that's there.
Yeah, so what you're doing is you're kind of imagining what other people's expectations of you are, which is a fiction in itself, and then you're holding yourself to this imaginary version of yourself. It's no wonder you felt the pressure.
Which is why I think I was more comfortable with the acting, actually, because I hadn't been doing it for very long.
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's okay to be a beginner.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay to play, and it's okay to make mistakes.
Yeah.
It's like I've just got sent a recording of my brother's back in 1977. 1987. Playing recorder, and if we ever need a score for a horror film, right, I'll send it to you, right?
Okay.
It's like one of my brothers playing on the sampling of my dad's keyboard, so we've got all these little weird noises, and then we've got my other brother playing the violin very badly, so many bad notes. But again, if we need a score for a horror where things is like slightly familiar but very wrong, like that uncanniness, that'll work. But you know, when you're a kid, it's okay. It's okay to do that and to have those bad sounds. And it's like one of the things I had to learn with singing was that was to make bad sounds. And I'm kind of laughing now because I remember saying something. I was learning to do heavy metal screaming with my kids, and I was like, oh, my singing teacher's heard me make so many bad sounds. Not that I'm learning the screaming with my singing teacher, but talking. My son was like, we all have mum. And I was like, I didn't get triggered. I was fine with that. It's like, yes, you have. Because I'm just trying to give myself that space. Because if I didn't, I think back when I was pregnant with Anya and I started singing, and I remember we had an outbuilding that was, we turned into a music room, and I had a friend round that was a drummer. I had a backing track on, and I was trying to sing Tiffany's song, I think We're Alone Now, and there was just a couple of bits I just couldn't pitch it. I just couldn't get it right, and I remember literally just crying in front of my friend, just the frustration. It's like, am I hearing it right or not? What is the issue? Is my brain processing it right or not? Is it that I'm not physically capable of making these notes? You know, so which bit of this process isn't working, and just all of these things, and just. But I could have easily gone, oh well, you know, never mind, not for me. But because it's always been something that's important to me, or always something that I wanted to do, I think as soon as I decided to try learning, it's like giving up wasn't an option. But that's sometimes a painful process, right? Yeah.
I think you've got to make mistakes to learn how to fix it and get better.
Yeah. Yeah, and to keep trying, and just to not go. I came across something that was talking about entrepreneurs, but saying that really successful people failed their way to the top, and I was like, I like that. Yeah. You know, because it's just people just don't suddenly have an idea and then they're suddenly you know, billionaire.
Yeah.
It's
trial and error.
Yeah, it's like you do something, you learn from it, and you do something, and some people, you know, make the right decisions sooner, I guess, or whatever right decisions would be in terms of business. But yeah, that idea that you can just use failure as a way just to keep growing and embrace it in that way, and I think that's quite a hard mindset.
Yeah.
I think definitely for me that's something I was working on when we did the acting, because I had all the same voices, like, oh, am I not going to be good enough, you know. And a lot of that was re-triggering of going back to the beginning of the singing as well. So, and as well as, you know, kind of regret that I was 46 or 47, I can't remember when we did it, but that I'd, you know, something that I loved as a kid that I'd allowed myself to not do, you know, or not given myself the opportunity to do for that amount of time. So it's a good thing you kind of, you know, you recognised it sort of sooner, I think. What was your favourite part of the acting?
I really liked, so in the second course, we did a scene from Othello, and, you know, we just kind of did it the same every time we practiced it. And then in the last session she said, okay, I'm going to call out some random things and you have to play it like that. So she'd say, you're in a Western, you're in an episode of EastEnders, like we'd have to do the accents, we had to do the physicality. It just completely changes the way that you look at the scene. You're just having fun, you're just
because it's central. It's central to anything creative, I think. Just
and then,
that curiosity, like, what does this look like if we do it like EastEnders? What does this look like if we pretend that we're in a, you know,
because when
Wes Craven horror film,
when you're doing the scene the same over, you get in your head, right, this is the right way to do the scene. This
it's
worked.
The only way.
Yeah, it's the only way.
Yeah, it's the way it should be.
Yeah.
And
then that gets kind of boring and.
Which is why I love going to see stuff at the Globe, because I think even if they do Shakespeare, and I'm not the biggest Shakespeare fan, when I did my degree, I avoided anything Shakespeare related. They always bring something to it that is sort of current in a way, just perhaps about the way they perform it or the way they're casting it or whatever. It's like you've got to keep things fresh, because audiences don't want to see they want to go knowing that they recognise something about what they're going for. Otherwise people will go, oh, I saw Shakespeare like 30 years ago, I don't know, she's Shakespeare now. But there's got to be something that entertains them and gives them something fresh, I think.
Exactly.
And
I think acting is versatile in that way. Like every actor will see it from a different perspective and play the character in their own way, play the scene in their own way. Even just changing the emphasis on a sentence in where the emphasis goes, and it's just even silly things like smaller things like that just can make such a massive difference. So if you could give advice to anybody that's sort of kind of got dreams that they're not really following through on because of perhaps their fearful of failure or rejection or whatever, what advice would you give them? I mean, you just got to, it sounds cliche, but you just got to go for it. Like, you are still, no matter how, like, people who've been doing it for years, they still have the voice. I was speaking to a guy in the show, he's been doing it for his whole life. He's in his 60s, he was an acting teacher, and he still, before he goes on stage, he gets nervous. He's like, oh, what if they don't like it? You know, what if they don't find me funny? What if I get a line wrong? You're going to have that for ever. But you just, like, the difference between him and someone else is that he will still go and do it. And the more you do it, the more you do get used to it. But and the more that you know you can overcome that feeling. I think same anything you're going on stage with, isn't it? It's or you know, like anything you're making yourself vulnerable with, it's like the risk and the reward and balancing them out. So just get on and do it. I think it's really important, and it is so rewarding when you do it. And the more frightened you are, the bigger the reward. So the more you grow. So, you know, sometimes if people would say, I want to achieve this or this, I go, well, how challenging is that for you? Because actually if a goal or a project isn't challenging, then people often will lose motivation anyway, because they're not growing and they're not learning and they're not getting that kind of dopamine hit from just like going, oh my God, I did that. So it's just really important to keep going. That is all we've got time for. Thanks to everyone listening. Please subscribe to this podcast and we'll see you in the next episode.